Welcome to Smoketown On Air, the podcast for families, students, teachers, and members of the Smoketown Elementary School community of Conestoga Valley School District, Lancaster, PA. Stay tuned to catch all the latest school happenings, events, and opportunities. Hear from the Smoketown faculty and staff, and learn tips and strategies to help your child succeed. Now, here's the host.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Smoketown On Air. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we're really excited to bring you an interview with second grade teacher, Mr. Seth Winder. So really looking forward to getting to that in just a minute. But before we do that, here is an update on what's happening at Smoketown with Mr. Dominic Panza and the calendar of events.
Coming up this May and June at Smoketown. May 25th, it's Friday, Field Day, grades 1 through 4. On Monday, May 28th, is Memorial Day, so don't come to school because we're all off. On the May 30th, we have Smoketown T-Shirt Spirit Day. Make sure that all students are wearing their Smoketown T-shirts to show their spirit. May 31st, Thursday, is Move Up Day, and the last day of school is June 1st. Remember, that last day is a full day of school for your student.
All right, and now without any further ado, here is our featured interview with Mr. Seth Winder.
This is Smoketown On Air with Mr. Dominic Panza, Mr. Bo Miller, and joining us for our interview today is second grade teacher, Mr. Seth Winder. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys today? I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, pretty good. Just a countdown has begun here at Smoketown, and you know we're in our last podcast. Not that we all have countdowns or anything.
I think we're at 11 days now, Dominic.
That sounds good. And you guys do the ABC countdown, is that correct?
First grade does it, but we follow it and watch it pretty closely. So yeah, it's just kind of a nice little countdown.
So if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is either your third or fourth year, correct?
This is my fourth year, yeah. The years have really blown by.
Sure. Who or what has inspired you to become a teacher?
Truthfully, I had a lot of positive influences growing up, and a lot of my high school teachers were a good kind of signpost and a direction for me. And without telling my wife, one of my biggest influences was actually my ex-girlfriend's parents, because her mom was actually a second grade teacher, and her dad was a principal of 2 elementary schools. So growing up with her and then getting to interact with her parents, they gave a lot of insight into the career. And her dad was a very well-respected principal. He was very very well-versed in what he did, very kind. Everybody looked up to him. And aside from them, though, too, my sister, Lacey, is a first-grade teacher, and without telling her, because this would go to her head, she was a big role model for me. She's been teaching for 10 years, and it's really nice when we come back together to talk with one another about what our year is like, what changes we're going to make, and just having common ground. So between my teachers and my ex-girlfriend's parents and my sister, they've really kind of given me direction in which career I wanted to pursue.
That's so awesome that you have people that are leading the way and inspiring you, but also someone you can connect with on a regular basis even now.
Yep.
And we won't tell your wife or your sister.
I'll tell them not to listen to this one.
Yeah, we won't publish this widely or anything like that. What do you love most about the work you do?
It's between two things. I really like seeing how much the kids grow. From the beginning of the year, they are very much first graders in their behaviors and academically, but by the end of the year, they make a ton of growth, and some of them are even like kind of dabbling in third and fourth grade material. So to see that growth is really rewarding. But another thing I really like on a personal human level is the connection that I make with the families, because I feel like that teamwork is really what helps move them. I can do so much here at school, but having open, frequent communication with parents it really moves them even quicker. And seeing them grow up, and even kids in the past, through the past 4 years, seeing them become sixth graders and seeing them out in the community and just having a connection with families, it makes the job more enjoyable. And yeah, and I just love seeing them grow academically and as a human being too, and see what personalities they develop as they get older.
Do you love winning any national math championships?
Oh, well, almost. Well, are you referring to the Splash Math last year?
I am.
That was awesome. Last year we were ranked number 1 in the country out of like 75,000 classrooms for Splash Math. And we ended up landing like 6th or 7th. And so we didn't win the $300 and the pizza party for the class, but we were able to get some good stuff with the prizes that we won. But yeah, I don't think we're in the running for that this year, but it's just been a pretty good year all around, even without a competition. So
I'm sure that ranks up there as far as one of your favorite memories, but do you have any other memories that stand out as your favorite here at Smoketown?
That one is really hard to beat in talking about like student memories, but in terms of like staff memories, I think my favorite memory is, it was every single year, actually, the Christmas concert. Whenever we would get up and sing, dope, 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 dope. I guess it's I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. I think that's it. But we didn't get to do that this past year, and I hope next year we can get back on that and let the kids enjoy listening to us a little bit.
Mr. Winder, you have quite a mellifluous voice. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
So my next question is, could you sing an entire song for us?
I can't do that.
Okay. So I'll just go with this one instead. What's one resource you think Smoketown families should know about?
I got to say that every teacher, I feel like, uses different resources and uses them a little bit differently. In terms of like academics, I think there's one online resource called Get Epic that I really love. It's just digital books, and they have a really expansive library. And especially with summer coming up, kids are able to just have reading material. If they can't get to a library or get a physical copy of a book in their hand, it's good for 30 days for free, and then after that, there's a subscription fee. But it's totally worth it to kind of prevent that summer slide, and kids will just be immersed in reading all summer. And they have a wide selection of books. And aside from the academic piece of it, I think I really like, I use Class Dojo, and I know a lot of you guys do too. And some people use the Remind app, but that's really nice. And what I like about it is that you get to keep like day-to-day tabs on your kid. You get to see behaviorally, you get to see pictures of what's going on in class. And it helps you kind of maintain open communication with parents. And my favorite feature is that they can text you right away. And I even have some parents saying, ooh, let little Johnny know that, oh, I'm seeing that he has a couple negatives today, or he's doing a really good job. Let him know that I'm proud of him. Or we'll talk when we get home, whichever end that is. But yeah, I really like how open the communication is with Class Dojo or Remind or any of those technology apps.
Those are fantastic tools. And what's the name of the book site again? Is it Get Epic?
Get Epic. If you search epic.com, it's not the site, and it's just getepic.com.
Okay, so, and it's free?
It's free for 30 days, and then after that, it's a small subscription fee. But
do you know what it is? Just
I want to say it might be like $4.99. So it's very reasonable. It's not out of the ballpark. So.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah,
recommend that to families. Very cool.
Yeah,
I think that's what's so excellent about Smoketown On Air is I've heard of a lot of these apps, but have only experienced Remind. I've heard of Dojo before, and now that you've talked about it, I'm interested. I'm intrigued to look further into it. It's something I've never done before, but it's something I'm possibly considering because I know a little bit more about it. I'm intrigued to check it out, and we certainly encourage all of our parents to look at anything they hear on this show, to look it up themselves so that they can use it for their own resource as well.
And I know that a lot of teachers use like clip charts, and there's validity to all of those things. The benefit I feel to Class Dojo is that they can see it immediately, minute to minute type updates. And sometimes if you were to do a clip chart, and even if you have a good tracking system, that child may or may not show their parents when they get home. It may not leave the backpack. It may get hidden or lost on the bus. So we all have our devices with us, and it's a little more reliable in my eyes. So.
I love that after a month or a couple months or a year, you have a logged record of everything for every student. So you can actually look at a custom date range and track progress for that individual or see where patterns need to be addressed. So it's a really neat way to have a great conversation for teachers and parents. So I'm just trying to sell it to you.
Yeah, well, it's sold. I'm going to go out and that's one thing I'm going to research this summer. And I know another hobby of mine over the summer is certainly trying to catch up on some reading. So personal reading, but also reading for things that maybe I'll use in the classroom. How about you? Is there a best book that you've read personally or a best book that you've read to your students over the past year?
The best book that I've read to my students this year is The Chocolate Touch. And I've been reading it the last 2 years, but it really is a favorite of mine, and it quickly became a favorite of theirs. And if I get excited about a book, then they tend to share in that excitement with me. And just a brief summary, it's about a boy who only wants to eat chocolate, and he's kind of greedy and selfish, and he doesn't listen to his parents. But then one day he finds a special coin, and that allows him to buy a magical piece of chocolate that turns everything he touches into chocolate. So it's kind of like King Midas, but the boy's name is John Midas. And if you want to find out what happens to him if he learns his lesson, check that book out. That's by... you know what? I'm blanking on the author, but it's called The Chocolate Touch. That's one of my favorite.
King Midas is also The Golden Touch, which is a story that they will read in 5th grade. It's part of our curriculum here, so it would be interesting to have them read it in 2nd grade or even 3rd grade, Mr. Miller, and then by the time they hit 5th grade, it's thinking, hey, we read The Chocolate Touch, now this is The Golden Touch. What do you think is going to happen? Make connections that way, because they're really good stories.
Definitely, I love that book.
Great
if
lessons.
You were to have to choose between having The Chocolate Touch or The Golden Touch, Mr. Winder, which would you choose?
I'd take The Chocolate Touch if it were special dark, but milk chocolate might not sit well with me. But yeah, I would definitely take The Chocolate Touch.
I think I'd take The Chocolate Touch as well, especially if everything you're touching turns to gold, then how are you going to eat, which is one of the things King Midas learns over time.
Yeah, you can survive on chocolate apparently, but not gold.
I guess not.
You can't eat gold. We love having you here as a teacher, Mr. Winder. You're a great contribution to our staff and just an all-around cool guy. But hypothetically, if you weren't a teacher, what would you do?
Well, kind of tying back into the food, if I weren't a teacher, I would absolutely love to be a TV host on like a Food Network or the Travel Channel, because anything that involves traveling and eating is just right up my alley. I would love to go be Andrew Zimmern on Bizarre Foods, and can't say I'd like some of the things that I'd eaten, but just to see the world and to experience the world through the food and like learning about their culture that way, that would be my second job if possible. And actually we had planned to go to Italy this upcoming summer, and our itinerary was left open. It was just more of which restaurants are we going to hit along the way. And I'm very much a pasta fanatic, and just experiencing the Italian culture. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen this year. Maybe sometime down the road.
That's one of the best things you can do when you go around the world, taste different things.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to it in a couple of years. So
you're listening to Smoketown On Air. We're joined by 2nd grade teacher Mr. Seth Winder. It's Mr. Miller and Mr. Panza conducting some of these questions here. And Mr. Miller, I'd like to know your opinion on what makes this place, Smoketown, so special.
I go home and I tell my wife, she's a 4th grade teacher over in the Manheim Township School District, and I tell her every day about some things we're doing here in the school with the kids and happenings. And what I've heard and really what I've experienced is that the staff is different here, and we have this sense of camaraderie and unity that a lot of districts, even with my sister in her school district, there's a lot of like disconnectedness, disjointedness, whereas here I feel like we look after one another. Even though we're in different parts of the building, we still share this common ground of we're going to do what's best for these kids, and everybody wears a smile on their face, and that changes the environment. And it's nice to have a staff and a principal, support staff. Everybody contributes to that culture, and it makes a really pleasant place to work. I don't think I would want to work anywhere else. So I think that's what is uniquely different about Smoketown.
I have to share those sentiments as well. I know that we've shared lunch with each other over the last couple of years, and although there may be days when we're sitting in that massage chair, I feel like we all support each other in those moments. And then when you walk out of that door, you realize you're going to do what's best for the kids, and everybody kind of understands in that moment what you're sharing, and they're there to support you in that moment, but then also realize that everybody has the student's best interests at heart moving forward after that.
Yeah, in good days, bad days, we'll pick you up or we'll keep you on cloud nine, whichever, but we're definitely there for one another.
And I love that that's the sentiment that we share, because I think students, as much as they pick up on our words, even more so, they pick up on how we relate to one another. So what a better way to learn? I mean, is there a better way to learn how to relate to other people than to see it modeled by the teachers? I think it really does make it a special culture.
I absolutely agree with that. Yep.
To end on more of a personal note too, just what drives you, a passion. What's something that you really want every student to learn before they leave Smoketown, or maybe even just before they leave your classroom, Mr. Winder?
You know, it's interesting because it kind of ties into the conversation we just had about modeling appropriate and like reasonable interactions with one another. But truthfully, I think that whether you're young or if you're old, social skills are so important in today's world. Having a conversation like we are right now around a table, some kids, it's not modeled for them maybe, or they just are too immersed in their device and they're trying to socialize through a device and typing it rather than expressing themselves. So I think oral language and just soft skills in general, making eye contact with people, good body language, all those things are so crucial for day-to-day life, your day-to-day life. And then especially when you get older and you go on an interview or when you're in the workplace, every job, even if you're sitting behind a computer, you still have to socialize with people. And I really, in my classroom, I focus on social skills, and the academics are a big part of it, but being able to socialize and communicate and build your knowledge with one another, that just supports the academics. So if you come into my classroom, you're going to hear, it might sound loud and there's just a lot of talking, and that's to be expected. I want them to bounce ideas off of one another. I want them to be wrong and then correct one another in a respectful way or an appropriate way. In my eyes, that's the most important thing that I want my kids to leave my room knowing and really internalizing going into third grade, fourth grade, and beyond when they become an adult. So social skills are a big thing.
Yeah, well, thank you for teaching that, because I think it really does make a difference in the kids' lives. And if they're able to relate to one another, they're going to be better prepared to learn and, like you said, better prepared for life, because as you've already mentioned, more than knowledge that anybody can get on a cell phone really now, or academic know-how, the ability to relate to others is essential to landing that job, really.
Yeah, and then in talking to people, you can solve problems. You're not going to sit behind a computer or a phone and try to work out a problem, because you can just blast a message out without it, and then you can just kind of turn it off and pick and choose what you want to hear. Whereas if you talk to people, you can solve problems, you can work them out. I feel like oral language, soft skills, social skills in general are just so crucial to everybody, young and old.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Winder, for being here. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure being here. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck for the end of the year. I hope you enjoy your summer and really have a good, relaxing time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Smoketown On Air. I hope that you found it helpful. Just to highlight that resource that was already mentioned, getepic.com. You should definitely check it out. There's a free 30-day trial and then a minimal subscription membership, but it can be a great way for your child to learn, continue to learn, and to practice the reading skills that he or she has already been working on this year. You should definitely check that out. And I just want to say thanks again for listening to Smoketown On Air. It's been a pleasure, as always, spending this time with you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Smoketown On Air. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. And if you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave a review on iTunes. Go Smoketown!